Om. Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhasha Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankar Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Hari Om everybody. We are on the portion where the Guru has started speaking, and he knows that the disciple has realized. So his teaching has reached fruition. It is successful. His teaching is successful. So he is also very, very happy, and he is blessing the disciple. And we saw the verse 521 where now he is now speaking. The noble teacher says these supreme words. And in the next verse 522, basically what he's saying is that you have now realized, now you cannot see anything but Brahman. You will not be able to. It is exactly like, you know, there is the hologram where they say, oh, there is a cow in there, there's a cow in there, and you keep on looking. And once you actually catch that cow or the giraffe or that whatever animal, you never lose it. You may go back to it after a couple of days and then look at it, you'll know exactly where the cow is. So that is the way this is. That this world had to be rejected to begin with. As sadhana, the vyatirek has to be done first, the negation has to be done first. We cannot say that this world is Brahman, so why don't I go indulge in the world? We cannot say that. If we do that, we will get lost in the world. So therefore, the teaching begins with falsifying the world. And that's what we see in chapter 15 as well, where the world is described in the first two verses, and in verse 3, the desuperposition is done. So it is negated. The world is described in great detail for us to get dispassion towards the world, not to indulge in it. So once the world is negated and the student has achieved a certain amount of dispassion, then in the seat of meditation, he realizes, once he realizes, there is no problem going back into the world. And that is what the Guru is telling him, that I know that even if you try to see the world, you're going to see Brahman only. I know that. So that's why I have no problem. You can go back into the world. Scriptures give the realized masters a choice. They can go back into the world and work. And we have seen that with Swami Vivekananda and Gurudev. Or the scriptures say, if you don't want to go back in the world, that's fine too. We see that in the case of Raman Maharshi, Tapan Maharaj, who never came back. Raman Maharshi never even had official students. He never even had any disciples. Tapan Maharaj at least had a few disciples whom he never went and looked for. They only came looking for him. But Raman Maharshi never had. Nisargadatta Maharaj also, I mean, his foremost student is Ramesh Balsekar, but he never started a class and, let me teach you, nothing of the sort. So scriptures give them that freedom. So here, this is what he said in 522. And now we go on to 523. Again, the same idea. Kastam paranandarasanubhuti Kastam paranandarasanubhutim utsrujya shuneshu ramet vidvan chandre maharadini deepyamane chitrendumalokayitum ka ichet. Which wise man would relinquish reveling in supreme bliss for the enjoyment of paltry things? When the greatly enchanting moon is shining, who would wish to gaze upon a painted moon? If you have access to the real moon, would you ever look at a picture of the moon? This is the comparison that is given. The idea is that supreme bliss, which was, the bliss is supreme. In Taittiriya Upanishad, I think I've told you this before. In Taittiriya Upanishad, they give the units of happiness, and it starts off with the one unit of happiness is if a person, he has sovereignty over the entire universe, like all the solar systems, all the galaxies, whatever, he's the king, then he's absolutely healthy, he's absolutely handsome, everything he has under his control. That is one unit of happiness. And then it goes on. So then then it says in heaven, it is 100 times of this happiness. Then you go higher loka, it's another 100 times of that 100. So you go reach Brahma loka, and it is like, that many, so many times greater than this unit of happiness in Brahma loka. And then it says, but the bliss is like thousands and thousands of times greater than what is experienced in Brahmaloka. That is how the greatness of that supreme bliss is described by Upanishad. Now, once you have experienced that, will you go for these little things? It's impossible. And the example is Raman Maharshi. See, in Raman Maharshi's life, we have told you, at age 16, he experienced that bliss. Immediately, he left everything and he went off. Like, once you get a taste of that bliss, you can never come back into this artificial happiness that we actually experience. Little things here and there, we are happy, and then it goes away. Even in a sattvic mind, when the mind has become extremely sattvic, there is a sort of a peace that is experienced, no matter what happens in the outside world. That peace, just by making your mind sattvic, this is not even close to realization. That peace is even greater than any kind of rajasic happiness that we get. What is rajasic happiness? Happiness arising out of objects. When I get this, then I'm very happy. When I get this, I'm very happy. That sort of, that's a dependent happiness, because of happiness. This is in spite of. So just, you only can imagine, because we don't know, but this is what Upanishad says. This is what he's saying here, that once you experience that, will you go after the world for anything? Therefore, if you see the real moon, if you have access to the real moon, why would you look at a painting of the moon? Okay. Now it gives, why is this? Why is that he would never go back into the world? Asat padartha anubhavena kinchit nahyasti truptirna cha dukkha hanihi tadvayanandarasanubhutya trapta sukham tishta sadatma nishtaya. In the perception of objects unreal, there is neither the slightest contentment nor the cessation of misery. Therefore, content in the realization of the essence of non-dual bliss, remain happy, ever identified with the self. The first two lines, the first word of the first line is asat padartha anubhavena, asat padartha. So all things which are asat, which are mithya, which are false. And what is that? The entire world, including body, mind, intellect. Everything under the Om in the chart, underneath the Om, everything is asat. From V down, V, then BMI, PFT, OET, everything. So all that is asat. Okay. Now, in that asat padartha, in that asat world, this thing, there is really no complete contentment. You know what I mean by complete contentment? Okay, you get one thing, you become happy. We have become happy many times. Okay, but that thing, whatever it may be, maybe you're very happy that today the sun was shining. You know, in Vancouver, suddenly they said rain, and then suddenly in the afternoon the sun came. So we're very happy. But that sun will go. That object will go because it is finite. So you may think that this is complete happiness. It cannot be. How can you get complete happiness from an incomplete object? The object only is finite. The object only is incomplete. How can you get complete contentment or complete happiness? And then dukkhani, okay, temporarily the dukkhani means the sorrow is gone. There is cessation of sorrow temporarily while you're experiencing that object, or while we were experiencing the sunshine in the afternoon, there was no sorrow. Then again it started raining, sun gone again. So that dukkhani, the cessation of sorrow, is also temporary. So happiness is also temporary. Cessation of sorrow is also temporary. Now moksha is described as paramananda prapti and atyantika dukkha nivrutti. So the gain of supreme bliss and the cessation of extreme all sorrow, all sorrow. See, in deep sleep also we experience cessation of sorrow, na? Deep, but in the morning it comes back. That sorrow which was there yesterday, the thought comes and that it comes back again. So this is what he's saying, that in that, because the thing is, previous verse he said, once you experience that supreme bliss, you will never go back into the world for any objects. Why? Because those objects of the world are incomplete. You have realized that. See, we have only heard it. We have actually also experienced it, but somehow it doesn't click. And then we go back again into the same world for the same objects and for the same happiness, which again ends. And then again, we keep running. So our running never stops. And then the next two lines describe the pure consciousness. First to asat, and next is tad advayananda rasa anubhutya. When you have anubhuti is experienced, when you have experienced that supreme bliss of advaita, non-dual bliss, which is continuous, there is no break in that bliss. That is the whole difference in our happiness. And we may even call it, oh, I was so happy, you know, to get whatever, first class, bonus, promotion, child, marriage, whatever. It ends. It ends. It is not unbroken. It is broken. Then after some time, then it is not giving me that much happiness. Whereas this Advayananda that they say means the bliss of this Advaita Vedanta, Advaita philosophy or Advaita principle, pure consciousness, is unbroken. And therefore he says, Tripta Sukham Tishta Sadatma Nishtaya, like you will, why would you let go of that, which is unbroken bliss? This is the essence. Therefore, the content in the realization is not remain happy. You will remain happy. Okay, you'll never come back. This is like kind of telling us, telling the seekers that this is what it is with this asat world. It's a temporary happiness, but once the disciple has realized, he will never come back. All right. Swameva sarvatha pashyan manyamana swamadvayam swanandamanubhunjanaha kalam naya mahamate. O noble one, Mahamate. So the teacher is calling the disciple, oh noble one. Why? Because he knows he has realized. Teacher knows. Teacher always knows where the student is, what level the student is at, right? O noble one, beholding the self, always contemplating upon the self, which is non-dual, and enjoying the bliss of the self, you should spend your time. Okay, this is a blessing. I mean, the disciple will be doing it, but the teacher is so happy. So he's blessing him like this, that spend your time always thinking of the supreme reality. So always mind is rooted in that truth, and then the functioning is going on. Functioning, I told you, they have a choice. The realized masters have a choice. They want to function in the world, no problem. So the functioning goes on, but the mind is always fixed in the supreme self. See, great people or realized masters, they do not do anything differently, but they do everything with a different vision. See, if an ordinary person is taking shower, if the ordinary person is brushing teeth, ordinary person is eating, same way the realized master will do, okay? There's not something special that he will take a shower, or there is nothing special that he will eat, or in a special way he will eat. Or that's why we have the question, how does he talk? How does he walk? It's not like, you know, he talks now only in Sanskrit or whatever. No, 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 no. Same way he will talk, like he was talking before. Same way he will talk afterwards also. But his vision will be totally different. See, for us, we will talk and we will think that I am the one that is talking. With him, already he said, I'm not the doer. So he will talk, but he will know that I am not the one that is talking. This action is happening in the realm of Prakriti, in the realm of gunas. That is the difference. So the vision is different. That's why we always say Vedanta is only a shift in vision. Shift your vision. There's nothing external, nothing. We also saw in case of Arjuna, first chapter and 18th chapter, same war was standing in front of him. Same Kauravas was standing, Duryodhan was standing, Dushasan was standing. Same people, same war. But his vision, Bhagwan completely changed. His thought process, Bhagwan changed. So he said, tell me, I will do whatever that you tell me. And even after that, Bhagwan says, no, you decide what you want to do, because you should not do what I am telling you. If you have understood my teaching correctly, you will do the correct thing. And then he fought the war. So what changed is the vision. That's all we also have to do, is change our vision. We cannot change the external circumstances. That those have been determined by our own past karmas. So that just because you're studying Vedanta, or you're in the Chinmaya mission class, or you're attending classes, it is not going to change anything externally. What it will do, it should do, is give you the correct amount of strength. That's why now we saw in 18, pravritti, nivritti, both you should know when to engage, when to withdraw. That discrimination Vedanta gives us. So here, even if we, that's why we have in Bhaja Govindam also, bhogaratova, yogaratova. So you may feel like he's going for a party, and sometimes he may be in meditation, but he's always, whether in party or in meditation, he's rooted in the same self. So that's why there is no worry. Okay. This is like an advice. The guru advises the disciple to spend, but the disciple, of course, will spend his life like that only. अखंड बोधात्मनि निर्विकल्पे विकल्पनम व्योमनि पुर प्रकल्पनम तद अद्वयानंदमयात्मना सदा शांतिं परामेत्य भजस्व मौनम. In the unbroken knowledge, the absolute, the Atman, dualistic conceptions are like castles in the air. Therefore, attaining supreme peace, live in silence, identifying yourself with the non-dual bliss absolute. Understand that the disciple, after realizing, will be doing all this, but the guru is again on top. Out of his love for the disciple, he's advising. So he's saying in that unbroken knowledge, because you see now he has got that consciousness, he has realized himself to be that knowledge which is illumining both knowledge and ignorance. The absolute means there is nothing beyond that. Atman, dualistic conceptions are like can a castle in the air last for too long? Can there be even a castle in the air? No, It's illusion. It's an illusion. So anything dualistic is an illusion, and that he knows. He says, know that, but the disciple knows that. And then live in silence. Now, this maunam is a very important word. See, maunam is there one thing of the speech. There are people who say, I for one day, 1 week, 1 month also, they go to Ahmedabad. There is a place apparently where you just live in a room and you don't talk, and they just open the window and then they put your plate there, you eat, and then you put the plate back there. So there's no contact. So that is one type of silence, okay? Physical silence, speech. What is more important is the silence of the mind. The ignorant person, he may remain, when we get angry, I won't talk to you, or I won't talk to anybody in the house, but the mind is chattering. That is not real silence. Silence is, you can be eloquent, you can talk, but your mind, is it at peace? So the realized master, when it is need, he will talk. We saw that in chapter 2. So how does he talk? When people come to him, he's going to say, oh, I'm supposed to live in silence, so I'm not going to talk. He doesn't say that. It is his mind. He knows. My mind is silent. Okay, you want me to answer some questions? Okay, fine, I will answer. No problem. So the importance is in the mind being silent. For us, that is what we need to practice. The mind at peace. And a pure mind is a peaceful mind. So if your mind is at peace, and what does it mean? Means you're not getting disturbed by little things that happen in life. Every single day, something or the other keeps happening. Today, this is not right. Tomorrow, that is not right. Things happen. Things happen in the house, in the car, with your body, things happen, Is your mind at peace? Or is your mind in pieces? That is what silence, that is the silence that is required in the mind, silent in the mind. Okay, things happen. This is what, so he says, bhaja somonam. So live in silence and identifying yourself with the non-dual bliss absolute. So for us, this is the advice. This should be taken as an advice for us. It is in the form of him, the guru, advising the disciple who has already realized. So he's already going to do all this. Then why Bhagwan is writing all this? It's for us. Don't think, oh, that is meant for that person who's realized. It got nothing to do with me. No, it has got everything to do with us. That's why Bhagwan is saying all these things. Understand that. So I have written, I have underlined the second last line in the last paragraph of this verse of Gurudev. Let not your mind worry over the dead, the unborn, and the living. So what is that? Dead is past, unborn is future, and living is present. So do not worry about the past, the future, and the present. This is what Gurudev has written there. Okay, they are all mere figments of the imagination and as fanciful as castles in the air. So do not worry. Past, especially, there is really no point worrying about it. It's gone. You can't do anything. You may have made a mistake. You may have made a, and maybe it bothers you, oh dear, I shouldn't have made that mistake. But it's best to let go. There's no point. All right. तूष्णीमवस्था परमोपशान्तिः बुद्धेरसत्कल्पविकल्पहेतोः ब्रह्मात्मना ब्रह्मविदो महात्मनो यत्राद्वयानन्दसुखं निरन्तरम्. The cause of all fancies, the mind, becomes perfectly serene to the sage who has known Brahman. Indeed, this is the state of quiescence in which, ever identified with Brahman, he constantly enjoys the non-dual bliss absolute. See, in samadhi, in realization, what happens is, what is happening to the mind? Through the mind only we have to realize the mind goes back into its own original source. What is the original source of the mind? Brahman. Chapter 15, first verse, Urdhvamula Madhashakham, Bhagavan said, right? The cause is very subtle. It is up above, which means very, very subtle. So the cause of the body, mind, and intellect is the same. That's Brahman. So in Samadhi, the mind is going into that, into its original cause, into the Mula, the root cause, which is Brahman. In deep sleep also, we experience a lot of quietude. But in deep sleep, where the mind is going is into the causal body, into the vasana level it goes. So it is not going back into its source, it is only going back into the vasana level. So what happens is when we wake up in the morning, it just comes back from the causal body and it starts getting disturbed about things that it was already disturbed about in the previous day or previous days, whatever. In samadhi, when the person wakes up from samadhi, the mind never leaves that source, that original source that it goes back into. It doesn't come back from there. That is the difference. This is, Gurudev's example, perfect here. It's like you hold on to the lighthouse. Can you ever move? You can't shake because you're holding on to the lighthouse. But you hold on to the log of wood, you're constantly going to shake. With every wave, you're going to go up and then you're going to come down. And that's what we are doing. Our mind is going up in happiness and down in sorrow. Constant, this up and down is going on. But if you stay at the level, at holding on to the lighthouse. So that is what samadhi does. The self-realization is when the mind realizes its own source. And once it realizes, it never comes back. It doesn't. That's why Bhagavan says in chapter 15, Yad gatva na nivartante. Once gone over there, once you come to me, it is a point of no return. That is what it is. The mind doesn't come back. So therefore it is said, this is the state of quiescence in which ever identified with Brahman, because that's it. The mind is merged in Brahman. Now it cannot come back out of there. He constantly enjoys the mind is there. So he's constantly enjoying that peace of mind. So his mind never gets disturbed. Okay. Nasti nirvasanan maunat param sukha kruduttamam vidnyatatma swarupasya swanandarasapayinaha. There is nothing more exhilarating than the quiescence which comes from being free of vasanas. To him who has known his own nature and who drinks the bliss of the self. Free of vasanas means, okay, total freedom from vasanas is realization. Okay, we have to understand these verses. There is a standpoint from the realized master, but we should understand from, because we are not realized. So how does it apply to me should be understood correctly as well. So that is a state of absolute free of vasanas, because then the vasanas are immediately burned. We see that in realization, sanchita karma, agami karma burns off, prarabdha karma goes on, and that's fine. That will continue till the body lives, or body lives until the prarabdha karma continues. That's fine. For us, what is the meaning of free from vasanas? Free from the force of the vasanas. Vasanas are there for us because we have not realized. So vasanas are there. Okay. What is the freedom? See, if something is suppose someone is pushing you to walk, like, or the wind is on your back. You're walking and the wind is on your back. And sometimes the wind is so strong that you're getting pushed. So then you are not free from the wind, because that wind is actually controlling your movement, because it's pushing you from the back, right? So the vasanas, when they are strong, they push you into action. And so freedom from vasanas is not higher sense. Freedom from vasanas is to get rid of the vasanas. But okay, we are not at that stage. At least get rid of the force. The intensity of that vasana has to be reduced. So if that intensity of the force is reduced, then you are more in control, aren't you? If the wind is pushing you, if there's a very hard, that's why like tsunami and all that, people go up, they get carried away in the wind and they go up and all that, right? So that force has to be reduced. And that force of vasanas can be reduced by controlling the desires in the mind. And how do I control the desire in the mind? Is by understanding that this desire will give me happiness, but it will go away and there'll be another desire coming up. So understanding the unreality of the world through knowledge. through knowledge, control the desire, control the mind. The more purified the mind is, the more it will be under your control. It's very important to control the mind. We have seen that in the chariot metaphor, which we see in front of Bhagavad Gita, the reins are the mind, and they are held tight by the charioteer. If he lets go of those reins, what will happen to the horses? They'll go anywhere they want. And if 4 horses start going in 4 different directions, what will happen to the chariot? And how does the intellect keep the thing? If the mind is pure, it'll itself go under the control of the intellect. It will know that what the intellect is telling me is the correct thing. I should not be going after the senses. And this is how you will achieve freedom from the vasana. Vasanas will be there, but the push should not be there, will not be there. Okay. So, and when you know, like I told you, even when sattva increases in the mind, your mind becomes very peaceful. You sort of get addicted to that. That is what is called as sattvic sukha in chapter 14, Bhagavan calls it. And sattvic sukha also binds, because you see, you become so addicted to that peace that you don't want anything disturbing it. That's what happens. Okay. So, maunat param sukhad, in mauna, in silence. And mauna, again, I told you, mauna, silence of the mind. Not that you forcefully not talk and then your mind is like going racing, you know, like from A to Z. So that should not be happening. Gachan, I think this has no meter. Gachan stishtan upavishan shayano va anyatha apiva yathe chayavaset vidman atma rama sada munihi. Whether going or staying, sitting or lying down, or in any other state, the enlightened sage whose sole pleasure is in the Atman lives ever at ease. So sada munihi word, last word, is one who has attained mauna. And attained silence is attained silence of the mind, not of the physical body, okay, not of speech. So whether he goes or stays, gachan tishtan, so he is going or he is staying at one place, or whatever he's doing, he's sitting or he's lying down, or in whatever, the enlightened stage is ever at peace, because chapter 5, this verses 7 and 8, they echo the same meaning. So there Bhagavan says that the realized master who has got this knowledge, he talks, he doesn't talk, he closes his eyes, he opens his eyes, he eats, he breathes, whatever he does, he knows that he is not the doer. So here, that's why he's at peace. See, what happens to us is whatever we do, we think we are the doer. So whatever that doing is supposed to be giving us result, then it comes or it doesn't come. Then I'm disturbed. Whether it'll come, it'll come, it'll come. But if I think that I am not doing this only, this is just happening in my presence, then why will I get disturbed? This is what this means. Okay. So he is ever at ease. And the reason for his being at ease is because he is always identified with Brahman, with Atman. Nadesha kala sanadigyamadi lakshadyapeksha pratibadha vrattehe samsiddha tattvasya mahatmanosti swavedaneka niyamadyavastha. The sage who has perfect realization of truth and whose mind therefore encounters no obstruction, no more relies upon conditions of place, time, posture, direction, moral discipline, objects of meditation, etc. What formulae can there be for recognizing one's own self? The reason why all these are mentioned is, see, for us, when we do meditation also, we are told, you know, pick a perfect asana, don't sit in a dirty place, sit in a quiet place. Time is prescribed. In the early morning, it is better when you're rested. Then posture, asana siddhi, we have seen that. Direction, we say, oh, east, facing east. You know, when we do pujas, especially in Karma Kanda, all these things become very important. The gods have to face the east and you have to face like this direction, that direction. moral discipline is there. All this thing, objects of meditation, they say keep an idol and then focus on the idol, or put some incense so that there is, all these are in Prakriti. You have to understand that all this is in the Asat world. In Prakriti it is. And to achieve that state of realization, all these methods are required. Okay. But once you achieve that state, all these become, like they say, oh, if you go to, there are people who, during their dying days, they go to Kashi, because it is said that in Kashi, if you die, then Lord Shiva will give you the mantra and this. But the one whose ego has already died, does he care about where the body falls? Whether it falls in Kashi or whether it falls in a gutter, the body is a shadow. Where it falls, it doesn't matter to him. This is why all these things, all these disciplines are meant until realization. Like I told you, the world has to be negated. You cannot realize if you're unable to falsify the world. You cannot. Okay. But once you realize, you go back into the world, then you're allowed. You don't, the teacher himself has said, it's okay, you go back into the world. That's okay, no problem. That way, all this direction and place and time, for even charity, they say particular days are better if you give charity in Kashi and holy places. All these things are in the purview of Prakriti. And as long as you are also identified with Prakriti, what is the meaning of identified with Prakriti? You're identified with your body, mind, intellect, then all these are valid and they should be followed. They should be followed. But once you rise above, once you realize, all this becomes, it's like Gurudev's example of pole vault. You need the pole vault. The athlete needs the pole vault until he goes to the top. Does he take the pole with him on the other side? Can he? Does he? Does he need? No, but till then he needs. Can he jump up that high without the pole? He can't. But to go on the other side, he will drop the pole and then he goes. This is how you come to know the importance of Gurudev's examples. We think, oh, simple, no. Actually, this is what even I'm realizing. The more I read, then the more I go back and I say, oh, Gurudev said this, Gurudev said this. And in very simple terms. They said it in if you read the Kindle Life, Meditation and Life, all those books, all these examples are there, right? So this is what this is. The pole is the time and the place and the direction and the this and that and etc., etc., etc. Yes, you need the pole. Yes, you have to have the pole. But once you go up there, you drop the pole and you go. So you drop, then all these things don't matter. The one who is disidentified with his body completely, does it matter that the body is facing east or west or where it is facing? See, we have this Gora Kumbhar example of Gora. There was a saint. He was, Kumar is a potter he was. And Namdev, Namdev also was a great devotee of the Lord because Bhagwan used to come and talk to him in person. So what happened was, there was a meeting of all the great Mahatmas. Sant Naneshwar was there, Muktabai was there, Namdev was a tailor. All this is all Maharashtrian saints. Namdev was a tailor. Then somebody else was a potter. And so, like that only they were having satsang, and Naneshwar Maharaj was there too, Sant Naneshwar. Anyway, so Namdev had this pride. God, Vitthal Bhagwan comes and talks to me. He doesn't talk to any one of you. So I am the greatest devotee. Ahankar. So then Sant Naneshwar can't let him fall like that now. So Muktabai, there is the potter, he says, Muktabai is young girl. They say, go knock on everybody's head and see whose head is hollow. Because, when you knock on the pot, then you know how strong the pot is. Okay. So she goes and knocks and she says, oh, Namdev, he gets angry. He said, what do you mean? My head is, what do you mean? Bhagwan talks to me. Does he talk to anybody of you? So he gets very angry and he says, let me go ask Bhagwan, whether I am immature. So he goes to Vitthal Bhagwan and he calls him, and Vitthal Bhagwan used to talk to him right from childhood. Bhagwan would come and eat his food, Nevedya, and talk to him. So he came, Bhagwan came, and Namdev said, "This is what you're telling me. Do you think you talk to me? You never talk to anybody else, and this is what they're telling me." He says, you talk to me, I talk to you, but you really don't know who I am. Yeah, what do you mean? I know you're here sitting in front of me. That is you. This is me. So he says, okay, now you go to this village and there is this Gora Kumbhar, this guy, you go and meet him. Okay. So he goes. He listens to Vitthal Bhagwan. He goes. And he goes into the temple. They say, oh, he's in the temple. And he sees that this guy is sleeping with his feet on the Shivlinga. Again, he gets mad. Are you stupid? You put your feet on the Lord, on Shiv Bhagwan, you put your feet. He says, I'm an old, tired man. I cannot move my legs. Why don't you take my legs and move them wherever you think is fit. So he moves the legs and the Shivling moves with them. And he moves the legs again and the Shivling moves. And he moves again and the Shivling moves. And he thought, what is going on? Then he tells him, you think Bhagwan is there and not there? Where is Bhagwan not there? See, idea in Namdev's mind was Bhagwan is something different than me because Bhagwan comes and talks to me. That was his idea. That's why Bhagwan said, I talk to, see, we talk to so many people. Do you think every person that we talk to, we know them very well? We talk to so many people during the day, right? So that's why Bhagwan gives him this vision of oneness by telling him to go there. And that's why so a realized master, it doesn't matter because he has recognized the truth to be himself. So whether he keeps his feet, actually another story also, same story I read about some other Mahatma. This I knew, that one I just read in the book a couple of days ago. Same thing. So the question is, where is Bhagwan not there? So whether you put your feet on the Shivling or on the idol, if you have we should not be doing it. Please do not do it. We are not at that stage. So don't think that he did it so we can. No. We are nowhere near. So we must have the complete respect for the idol and the Shivling and everything. But the realized master, when he has recognized his oneness with the Lord, then what does it matter where he's sleeping, which direction he's facing? For us, you don't face south and don't, all kinds of things are there for us, but not for him. Okay, not for a realized master. Okay. Here the posture is, sitting is considered sattvic, standing is rajasic, and lying down is tamasic. Therefore in meditation we are always told to sit and do. We're not told to walk up and down and do meditation. You can't, because the body has to be also, because the mind has to be sattvic, body has to be first made sattvic. So body is kept in a sattvic position, then you try and do meditation, etc. Okay. घटो यमति विज्ञातुं नियमकोऽन्वपेक्षते विना प्रमाण सुष्ठुत्वं यस्मिन् सति पदार्थदिः. This is a jar. To know this, what condition is necessary, save that the means of knowledge be without any defects, which alone ensures a cognition of the object. Okay, so what this is to know this, what condition is necessary, save that the means of knowledge be without any defect. See, in any kind of knowledge, there are three things. Okay, one is the knower, the subject. One is the known, which is the object. And the third thing is the knowing. Okay, now, if the object, say, is sound, can I use my eyes to understand, get knowledge of the sound? If it is color and form, can I use my nose? Let me go smell and see what color it is. So what is being said is that for particular type of knowledge, a particular type of means is required. This is what this is. Okay. So the example of jar is given. Now jar has a shape and a form and a color maybe, or whatever. So you need only eyes to look at the jar. You cannot hear the jar. If a jar is kept, you can say, let me hear and see if there is a jar. Let me smell if the jar is there. You can't. So the means of knowledge has to be correct. Okay. So which alone ensures cognition of the, so unless the means are correct, you cannot know an object. Now, the next one, it continues. Okay. So if the object is existing in front of you, and yes, it is it has a form, then you need eyes. If it has a sound, you need ears. If it has a taste, you need the tongue. Way back, somebody, they said, you cannot tell that a pizza is good by putting it on your head. You have to eat it to say that, okay, this pizza is good. Okay, that is the thing. Now, next one, continue. Ayamatma nitya siddha pramane sati bhasate na desham na piva kalam na shuddhim vapya pekshate. The Atman, which is an eternal truth, manifests itself in the presence of the right means of knowledge. It is dependent neither on place nor time nor outward purity. The verse 531 was talking about objects of the world. Okay. And for that, the means of knowledge are the sense organs. Depending on the object, color and form, sound, taste, touch, you need that particular organ. Now, what do we need for Atma? This is what the question is. Ayam Atma Nitya Siddha. Ayam Atma means I. This I is experienced by us constantly, isn't it? The minute I wake up, I know that I am so and so. Do I need to look in the mirror to say, who am I? Let me look in the mirror. Oh, I am Jaya. I don't need it. I know inherently that I am Jaya. Okay, this is. Now, do I use any of the sense organs to know myself? Do I look in the mirror? Do I smell myself? Oh, I smell like this. Do I taste myself, lick myself and see what this is me? No, I know inherently, I know, I'm aware who I am. Okay. So this I am Atma, this Atma, which scriptures are saying is us, who can tell us, not the sense organs, only Shabda Praman, only scriptures can tell us about Atma. That too, scriptures also we don't need to tell us about Atma. Do I need the scripture to tell me who I am? Am I not aware of myself? The problem with that awareness is that the awareness is that I'm the body. Right now, in a state of ignorance, I go on thinking that I am the body, mind, intellect. Okay. See, in the case of outside objects, if the means of knowledge are defective, you will not get. The example given is, if you have cataracts, then you're not going to see things clearly, because why? Your eyes are defective. Okay. So that is the way. Now, to know myself, like I am already aware, I don't need this type of means. Okay. The means is either the object has to have a defect. If I have to understand something correctly, if the object is only defective, I'm not going to understand it correctly. If the means are defective, the knowledge is not going to arise correctly. In the case of Atma, which is right now an object for us, there is Atma, there is no defect. There is no defect in the object. Okay. So the defect has to be in me. If I don't understand who I really am, this is a very subtle point. I am aware of myself, but what am I aware? I am Jaya, I am female, I am the mother, I am a teacher. Everything beyond I am fully aware of all that. What the scriptures are telling us is that that is incorrect knowledge. Anything beyond I am is incorrect. So I'm intelligent, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm compassionate, I am fat, I am thin, I am tall, I am, I am, gray hair, I am this, that. Anything that you say beyond I am is wrong. And that is the knowledge that scriptures are giving us. You must understand that the scriptures cannot make us aware. We are already aware. Very, very, That's why he's saying, how do you know that you do not know? I just know. How do you know that you don't know chemistry or a particular subject, or you don't know cooking, or you don't know driving? Somebody doesn't know driving. How do you know? How do you know? If somebody looks at me, can they just tell me, oh, I know you can drive, but you cannot cook, you know physics, but can somebody else tell me that? I myself know. So that way, I am aware of myself. The problem is that I take myself to be the body, mind, intellect. That is where the problem is. And that notion, that wrong notion, to remove that wrong notion, the scriptures are there. They're not to tell us, make us aware of who I am. I am that already. What I am, what other people will tell me that what you are. But what I really am, I'm not thinking. I don't think what I really am. I think I'm body, mind, intellect. That is what I'm thinking. That's why when anything happens to the body, I get upset. When anybody says anything to me, I get hurt in the mind. Right? Because I've completely identified. That identification has to be reduced. That is what I am Atma Nitya Siddha. I am always present. Always present, whether in sleep, whether in dream, whether in waking, I am always there. Pramane sati bhasate manifests itself in the presence of the right means of knowledge. But that Atma, right means of knowledge, that I am Atma, okay, and not BMI. Right now, I think I'm BMI. Is this clear? Gurudev's explanation is pretty good. To know that I am what I am, no special time or pose or occasion is necessary, right? The minute I wake up, that's why I told you, do I go look in the mirror? Oh, who am I? Let me go look in the mirror. Let me see who I am. Or is somebody else telling me, hey, you are Jaya, you are so-and-so, you're this, that? No, inherently I know. That's why Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha is inherently, I know. I do not need the scriptures to tell me that I exist. The problem is, I think I exist as the BMI. That is where the problem is. That is what the scriptures are telling us. You think that you are the BMI, but you are not the BMI. You are that Atma. Yeah. All right.
I have a question. If a person who kind of at a stage that he is, as you said, who has realized, how the guru knows that he has realized?
How does the guru know?
The reason I ask it, because the realization itself is in through this instrument of mind. He understands very well that the instrument is also asat. Having realized that one, everything is asat. He knows the difference between asat and sat.
Correct.
But the fact is, I'm trying to get a clarification. How can, one cannot read the other's mind. So how does
the guru know? That's
yes.
what you're asking.
Yes.
That's what you're asking. Correct. See, the thing is, like Guruji has said, Swami Tejamanji, that it is easy to understand Brahman, but it's very difficult to understand a realized master. Okay, but you have to remember, you're saying it is his guru.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's why I told you that the guru knows exactly what stage every disciple of his is at. The guru is a teacher, because you have to understand that the teacher also is a realized master. Please understand that the guru is a realized master already. Okay. Now, the way he understands, the way we saw the disciple speaking after realization, right? All the things that he said, the guru understands this is not intellectual. This is actually, he is feeling that. He's experiencing it. Because the guru is realized as well. One realized master always knows another realized master. Let me tell you. It is said about Gurudev that there was another realized master who was blind. He was blind. And I forget his name. I don't know if Tripti would remember. I forget his name. And every time Gurudev just walked to him, he would say, Chinmaya, you came. He was blind. He didn't know. Right? But that is the thing. You don't need the sense organs to recognize another conscious principle. You don't need eyes. He would know. He would say, right? In the book, it is there. That's why you should all read that biography of Gurudev, Nancy Patchen, Journey of a Master. So the Guru knows. Other people may or may not know. Okay. But the Guru, because he is also realized himself, he knows that the person. Also, you have to understand one more thing in the mind. When we say the mind, the instrument itself is dissolved. But what is dissolved is actually only the psychological ego is dissolved. Psychological ego. There are two aspects to our ego. One is a psychological aspect. One is a functional aspect. The functional aspect is I can cook, I can drive, whatever. That's the functional, because somebody, can you drive me here? Oh, yes, I can drive. I've got a car, I can drive. The psychological aspect is the one that I'm the best driver. I'm a very good driver. I'm a very good cook. I'm better than others. That is the psychological aspect. So when we say that the mind dissolves in the Supreme Self, what actually dissolves is only the psychological ego. Because if that functional mind also were to go, then the realized master would actually forget what he was doing before. And we see, like Nisargadatta Maharaj, he never forgot how to make bidis. He didn't. Gurudev was very eloquent. He was a journalist. He used to write before, only the subject matter changed. Previously, he would write about stories. Then he started writing commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and, Prakran Granthas or whatever. And also he wrote his own books like Art of Living and Hasten Slowly, Kindle Life, etc. So that tells us that the functional memory or the functional ego doesn't go anywhere. It can't. It can't. It's not like dementia that the person just forgets everything. It's not like that. Okay. But the psychological ego, which is identification with the body, that is why I say I am this much tall, I am beautiful, I am sentimental, I am compassionate, I am intelligent, I am whatever that I say is the psychological ego. That's why even at our stage, we must distinguish between these two types of egos. When we are only using the functional ego, that ego is an asset. We need the functional ego to do karma yoga. How will you do karma? Without functional ego, you cannot do karma. Karma has to be done. Action has to be done. So when you do it, and that is the purpose of karma yoga, is to get rid of the psychological ego slowly, 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 slowly. That's why we see realized masters who are working, like I told you, Swami Vivekananda or Gurudev. So if they didn't even have the functional ego, how would they work? How could they lecture? That remains. So you should understand the mind, it's not like that they become mindless. They don't become mindless. They become free of thought. They're not even thoughtless. Understand the difference between thoughtless and free of thought. So free of thought is when the pressure of the vasanas is not there. Free of thought is when the worry thought is not there. That is what is meant by free of thought. Not thoughtless, not a state of thoughtlessness. A state of freedom from thought, freedom from the force of the vasanas. There is a freedom from vasanas, Vivekachudamani Bhagwan said, but for us, it is freedom from the force of vasanas. Okay. All right, we'll stop here today. We'll continue next time, 5:33. and we'll take it from there. So I'll see some of you on Sunday and then some of you on Monday as well. Okay. Yeah, Monday is the 13th, so there is a class. All right. Om swasti prajabhyav paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha gobrahmanebhyo shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam kshobarahita brahmana santu nirbhayaha. Om sarvesham swasti bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaha सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।